Impulse is the only major steel roller coaster at Knoebels. This Zaire Tower coaster feels similar to the Gerstlauer Eurofighters, and in 2020, the ride was upgraded with new trains. I have ridden Impulse both with the old and new trains, so in this video, I will review Impulse and explain if the new trains have improved the overall ride experience. Knoebels is most well known for their award-winning wooden coaster collection. You have Phoenix, the best wood coaster in the world per Amusement Today's Golden Ticket Awards, and you have Twister, the spiritual successor to Elitch's old Mr. Twister. Plus, you have the world's only wooden bobsled coaster in Flying Turns. But their steel coaster lineup was lacking for many years. From 1977 to 1992, the park was home to a Schwarzkopf Jetstar. The ride was replaced by a Whirlwind in 1993. This was a Vekoma MK1200 double looping coaster, but Knoebels removed this ride after the 2004 season due to space constraints and rider complaints about it delivering a rough ride. This would leave a void in the park's lineup that would take a decade to be filled. Knoebels would add a new kiddie coaster in Cosmos Curves in 2009 and an indoor steel coaster dark ride in Black Diamond in 2011, but they were still lacking an adult major steel roller coaster. In 2014, the park announced Impulse, a Zaire Tower coaster that would replace the former Bumper Boats and Boat Tag. Impulse would open for the 2015 season. And this was an interesting addition. Impulse was Zaire's answer to the Gerstlauer Eurofighter. The two rides had a lot of similarities with their steep drops and compact layouts. Zaire had only built one prior tower coaster, the launched Wicked at Lagoon in 2007. And Impulse was the second and final tower coaster Zaire has built as of this recording. Meanwhile, Gerstlauer has built 24 different Eurofighters across the globe. But is the Zaire product inferior? I don't think so. Impulse is located at the very front of Knoebels. The ride runs alongside the roadway into the park, so it makes quite the impression upon guests with its vertical drop and tangled layout. The ride looks great too with its royal blue track and electric yellow supports. It really stands out. And it got an upgrade in 2020. As I mentioned earlier, the coaster received new trains. These trains have lights on the bottom of the train that really pop as the coaster carves its way through the course. Knoebels is legendary for lightning fast dispatches. Impulse is no different. They often crank trains out in less than 30 seconds. But this coaster still generates a lengthy wait most days due to its capacity. Each train only seats 8 riders in 2 rows of 4. In most of my visits, Impulse has been running just one train, but I believe the park intends to have this coaster running 2 trains going forward to help boost the coaster's throughput. Knoebels has every incentive to do so, considering they're a pay-per-ride park on weekends. I avoid this coaster if it has a sizable queue, but I have seen it quoted at 1 to 1.5 hours by the attendant at the ride's entrance. The ride does have a single rider line that can be a major help. I have used this several times and never waited more than 10 to 15 minutes to board Impulse. In terms of seat selection, the sensations don't change whether you're in the front or back row. The front is slightly better for the unobstructed view though. Now let's talk about those trains. Impulse operates with just lap bars. These lap bars come down like panini presses and they fit rather tight, but they've never caused me any discomfort. I personally didn't notice much of a difference between the old and new trains in terms of the lap bar, but there was one key change: the height restriction. Impulse always had a 48-inch height requirement, but if you were between 48 and 52 inches, you were required to ride in a booster seat that Knoebels would have to add and remove in between cycles. The new trains made it so the booster seat was no longer necessary for those between 48 inches and 52 inches. The new trains also provide a smoother ride. Impulse was starting to develop a vibration with the old trains. The new ones track much better. Now the ride is glass smooth outside of one shuffle in the final helix, so it is a tad more re-rideable now. Impulse begins with a U-turn and a 98-foot or 30-meter tall vertical lift hill. This is followed by a vertical plunge. It always surprised me that Zaire didn't go beyond vertical like the Eurofighters, but Impulse's drop gives a strong burst of ejector airtime. It's about on par with the average Eurofighter in terms of power. The pullout from this drop delivers crushing positive Gs. Impulse pulls a maximum of 4.2 Gs, and I'm almost certain this is where it happens. The rapid transition from strong negative to strong positive Gs makes Impulse worthy of its name. This is followed by a Cobra roll, and this element is actually better when the coaster is running slow. If the ride is running really slow, the first half of the Cobra roll gives a little bit of hang time. If the ride is running fast, the first half of the Cobra roll is a dud. The second half of the Cobra roll starts dull under all conditions, but the pullout delivers another strong dose of positive Gs. After a brief section of straight track, you navigate a rather circular loop. You really slow down atop this loop so you get some nice hang time, especially if the ride is running slow. The pullout from the loop quickly reestablishes the positive Gs. That's one of the trademarks of this ride. That is followed by a turnaround and a helix around the lift hill. Both feel like filler elements, but they do provide a nice visual for those in line. The train then crawls through a barrel roll. This element gives some incredible and sustained hang time, especially since you have just that lap bar. It's my favorite inversion on the ride, without a doubt. You then have one last helix, an upwards 540-degree helix. It offers some solid positive Gs at the start of the element, but those are broken up by that aforementioned shake. You then crawl into the brake run, ending the ride. I strongly recommend riding this coaster early in the day. Not only will you be able to ride it before a queue line builds up, but the ride is a bit better when it's running slower, since you get more hang time on the inversions. So what would I rate Impulse? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. It's a solid steel coaster that provides an intense drop, powerful positive Gs, and some good hang time. The ride does have a few filler elements, so the pacing isn't perfect, but the ride is very re-rideable, especially with the new trains. I don't think those trains dramatically change my perception of the ride, but they are a little bit of an improvement. I think Impulse is a great fit for Knoebels. It's a nice complement to the wood coasters, as it provides a radically different ride experience. I do prefer their top two wood coasters and several of their non-coasters over Impulse, but it's still a solid coaster worth a few rides every time I visit the park. I'd say this ride is on par with the Eurofighters that run with just lap bars, but I'd definitely take this over most of the mid-size Eurofighters that run with the over-the-shoulder restraints. So those are my thoughts on Impulse, the Zierer Tower coaster at Knoebels. Have you ridden this coaster? What are your thoughts on the ride? Either the ride itself or the new trains? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.